What's up, y'all? What's going on? Coach Evan here. Now, listen, right now, this seat is empty, but coming pretty soon, SCAL Method Podcast is going to have another guest. The second guest, my man, Dr. C. I mentioned him a couple episodes before, maybe more than one episode, but we're going to have a decent conversation. We're going to talk about, healthcare, my health, my issues and things like that. Actually, not so much time on that, but we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. Peptides, what got him into just the career in health and being a doctor, all that fun stuff. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of good things. So I guess I would just get it popping right now. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well out there. I'm Coach Evan. This is Say Cheese and Live Studio, and you're listening to the SCAL Method Podcast, your one-stop shop for not only physical fitness, but mental fitness, emotional fitness, and spiritual fitness. All right, let's get them in their seat now real quick so we can have this conversation. All right, so here we are. I said we were going to have more guests on here, and I told you the next guest that I was going to bring on. First of all, Coach Erica was a heavy hitter, right? That was a dope episode. But this next guest here, this guy, I'm trying to figure out exactly. So let me break in a little bit here, right? I'm gonna read something to y'all real quick, right? Medical College of Wisconsin, his medical degree. Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, Harvard Medical School, Harvard School of Public Health, MIT Sloan School of Management, American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, Seed Scientific Research and Performance Institute, American Board of... Look, I can go on for days. I'm going to have to go on for days. American Board of Physical Medicine and Rehab, Institute for Functional Medicine, International Peptide Society. I don't even know how to say this. Evaxius, pellet hormone provider, American Ozonotherapy Academy, Fellowship in Anti-Aging, Metabolic and Functional Medicine. These are all of the education degrees and highlights of this man right here, Dr. C, or in other words, that's what I call him, Dr. C, Dr. Asare Christian, my man. Welcome to the SCAL Method Podcast.
Oh my goodness, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It is an honor to be here and looking forward to breaking things down and letting people know what I do and our journey together.
Yes. Yeah, man. So listen, like I told you on a couple episodes before, and now I guess at this point is maybe 3 or 4 episodes before that, I began my journey into, peptides and peptide therapy and all that fun stuff. And I had some health issues and all this stuff. I pretty much laid out a whole bunch of stuff to y'all. Like I was telling y'all all my business. But I told you I had and at that time I called him a performance doctor. Now, I don't know if you like that name or not, but
I think performance sounds great.
Okay.
Yes. Everybody cares about performance. That's good. Yes.
Exactly. So this guy has helped me out quite a bit, and we're relatively early in our journey, right? So there's a lot more to come, and but I initially went to him because I had a whole bunch of different issues. I had the surgery that didn't necessarily leave me feeling all warm and fuzzy on the inside. So it ended up, he ended up helping me out quite a bit. And it's his take on medicine and his take on just healthcare, on health, that really just changed things for me. Okay. So of course I had to have him on the podcast so we can rap a little bit, right? So let's break it down real quick. First of all, Dr. C, how you doing, man?
I am blessed and I am honored to be here.
Yeah.
And I think, this is a journey that we are having together.
Yeah.
Because the other side of it is I also see you to work on my health.
Yeah.
Because as we know, it's not what's happening in the doctor's office, but more importantly, what's happening in the trainer's office, what's happening in nutrition, what's happening in our environment before we show up, that matters. So I'm feeling great and honored to be here. A little, I got to the gym before I came here, so I can look a little, trying to follow all the things you're telling me to do. So I'm working on it. I'm trying to do it. So I'm feeling great. How are you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Like lately, things have been kind of picking up a little bit business wise, like in terms of like how I had to, like I got to put a lot of energy into certain things lately, but. I mean, that's what you got to do, right?
You have to do it. You have to put in energy.
Exactly. Yes. And, so things are going well, though. Things are going really well. I feel great. I feel nigh unstoppable. And that's the thing where I'm just like, we now because I feel nigh unstoppable, now I can see more possibilities.
Yes.
And that's what I'm really going for now. It's just like, well, before maybe this was out of the question, but now, well, maybe I can do this and maybe I can do that. So feeling pretty good, man. Feeling real good.
That's great to hear. And it's all a function of, who you are and what you put into the things you do. And as I've come to know you, one thing I can definitely say about you is you put in the work.
Yeah.
You put in the intention, you put in the work, you put all of it in there with faith and everything else. So I have no doubt that, whatever we're going, you're going to continue to grow and evolve and do amazing things. So super excited that you're still feeling better and pushing forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, of course, I can't just keep it all to myself, right? If I'm feeling better, everyone connected to me is going to be feeling better too, right? And that's kind of part of what you alluded to, right? You were like, hey, look, side note, everybody, and I got to say it, just before we started recording, best believe we were out here pumping out some bicep curls. We got to, I got to get a pump. Gotta get a pump.
Absolutely.
So it was like a mini little bicep curl session real quick, and then we were out. But all jokes aside, it's one of those things where like it's you basically are helping me out, but by helping me out, it's helping you out because that's just what I do, right? When I'm in a position where I can offer something to someone, no matter what my position is, I'm offering it, right? So it's one of those things where I'm like, so, and there's a story with that, right? Obviously, there's a story with that. But
absolutely. And I love, what we do in really trying to get people to solve health.
Yeah.
And it's not just like the way you see it. It's not just making an impact in one person's life.
Yeah.
If we make an impact in one person's life, and that's influenced your family, that's influenced the community. So being able to be part of your journey is helping to translate to the people you're caring for. Being part of my journey is helping me take care of my patients and the things I do. So
absolutely,
really just a blessing to be able to kind of be part of all of those things and make a bigger impact in the community.
Yes. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's actually a great feeling. It lines up with the purpose.
Yes.
Right. And it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Now we got to start from the beginning though.
Yeah.
How on earth did this happen in the first place, right? And I'm gonna tell you a story, right? Because we have one person to thank right now.
Yeah.
One person, and I'm gonna give her a shout out too.
Yes. It only takes one.
It only takes one person. So I'm in the studio training, right? I'm training this absolutely the sweetest girl ever, right? She's just a sweetheart, and her mom, she comes with her to the training sessions and everything like that. And so we're just talking, and everybody just talking. We're just talking, and her mom had some health issues and things to deal with, right? And so one day, I'm like, I don't remember exactly whether I was going to my own primary or something like that. Something happened, and I was just upset. I was just cranky. I was mad at the whole system from top to bottom. I was just upset.
Yep, the health system.
The health system, right?
Oh, the sick system.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? Yeah. And we'll dig into that for sure. And so, and I'm kind of explaining it to her because I was trying to get it off my chest a little bit and then, while training, which was pretty funny. And she was just like, hey, I go to this doctor. Now, listen, And I know of her condition, everything like that, autoimmune condition, all that fun stuff, because, surprise, surprise, as you already know, my wife has autoimmune disease.
Yep.
So there were a lot of different commonalities that she was, mentioning in her life and the way she had to live it and everything. I'm like, oh, yeah, yep, exactly, right? Mm-hmm. And one day she was like, you know what? You know who you would really get along with? My doctor. And I'm like, what? First of all, I thought that was a weird statement. Straight up, I was just like,
now I understand. Getting to know you, yes, I understand. Yes.
I'm just like, okay, cool, right? Because anybody who knows me knows I don't get along with doctors.
You're not alone, yes.
I like in the slightest bit. So I'm just like, okay, so I'm listening to her, just listening to her talk. I kind of gave her a little bit of the gas face, though. I'm just like, I doubt it. I doubt it. Yeah. She was like, but no, really, no, he's different, though. And I'm just like, okay. I was like, so what's his name? And I was like, Dr. Christian. Just here. Better yet, I'll give you, check out his website, do this and all that fun stuff. But she was pumping you up, right? Yeah. And I was just like, okay, all right, cool. And I'm like, but she was like, no, listen, this is what he's doing for me. Yep. And she gave her whole therapy plan, basically. And I was just like, oh, regular doctors don't do that. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll bite. All right, let me see what's going on. Yeah. And but shout out to Megan, by the way, because she's awesome.
She's
like
wonderful.
Her family, they're off the chain.
I love
they're
them.
great.
They're amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Inspiring.
So one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden I find myself in your office, and I'm like, listen, man, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not recovering the same. I don't feel the same. I don't even know my testosterone levels now, but I think that might be it, but I'm not even sure. And the first thing you asked me was like, wait, how's your gut? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, but for me, telling everybody else you need to be mindful of how you are and your gut health is important and all that fun stuff. It was just a different ball game when it came to myself. So I was just like, all right, okay. So then we run through labs and stuff like that. But then I'm just like, wait, this dude actually helped me. Because I can tell you, like, you already know, me and doctors, we don't, because I have a very, I don't want to call it a problem. It's kind of a problem. It's kind of a bone to pick with a lot of doctors.
Please do.
Yeah, yes. You know what I mean? Because it's just
I'm a doctor and I have bone to pick with doctors.
So okay, well there we go, right? Okay. Like maybe you're in a better position to actually say something about it because it's just like, but I get too many stories from my clients dealing with their own doctors where either the doctor is kind of predatory. Yeah. Where it's just like, I don't really want to get you better. I kind of just want you to stay on this particular path, follow my plan, because this is where I'm getting the money, right? And it's just like, and I know it kind of sounds like doom and gloom, but I know for a fact doctors who have actually said this, like I know that's how part of the game goes, right? And that's sad. That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Yep.
And then you have the other doctors who kind of checked out. Right?
Yeah, there's too much stress in the system they can't handle.
Exactly.
There's a reason why all of those things develop.
Yeah. So it's just like, so I've run into a lot of different doctors. Not many of them have been great, and even still to this day, when dealing with stuff with my wife, we're running into the same stuff again and again and again. So when I got to your office, mind you, that was the veil. Those were the lenses I was looking at you through. And so I was thoroughly shocked when it just wasn't like that. I'm just like, all right, yeah. So we gonna run these labs, and then you wanna then it's like, I don't know what to do, right? And we run the labs, and you have a whole plan set, and I'm just sitting there like, Oh, all right.
We got some stuff going on here.
Yeah.
But let me also tell you this.
Yeah.
One thing that is also, for me as a doctor, when people come in, you have to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about doctors giving people plans and things that it may not even work for them.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you came in, what I got from you was like, you were somebody that was very educated about health.
Yeah.
You knew a lot. You knew and then you were also doing things that actually solve health. So at the back of my head, I was like, okay, this is somebody that if I put the right things in place and we can develop a trust relationship, things are going to work for him because you're already doing the fundamentals and you're already very educated. You had very educated questions. And so that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So the place that you were, it wasn't too hard to meet you where you were, even though like your experience with doctors has not been that great. I just knew that you had this specific qualities and experiences that, if we get things, and I was also excited because you were also a trainer, and I was like thinking, hey, I can also get something from this guy. This guy is very experienced. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So all of that was really, it was just a great first experience. And,
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. It was surprisingly, even with my walls up initially, it was a surprisingly good few sessions.
Yeah.
Like full of good vibes, right?
Yeah.
Like one of those things. And I'm not usually the person to be like, oh, that's good vibes, all the good vibes. And all
No,
that
we
mess.
did have that. I definitely
was-
also I like this guy.
Yeah.
The first time you came, I was like, this is a cool guy. This is this guy I want to get to know. So
Yeah.
even outside of that whole patient-doctor relationship, it was like, I really want to get to know this guy.
Yeah.
There was something about you that was just genuine. It was more, and it's also attractive in a sense of, when people have good energy and something clear about them, they do something that's, it's attractive. It brings you close. So
Yeah.
that's something that I also saw, and I felt like, this is somebody I want to be around and
Yeah.
get to know. So.
Yeah. And especially, and even learn from, right? Because
Yep.
one of the things and I appreciate you for this, in a lot more than most people would think, right? Because I'm always in a process of, and I say this all the time on a pod, I'm always in a process of butting my ideas and beliefs up against something so that I can really shake out what's true.
Yes.
And what you've given me the opportunity to butt up my ideas of doctors
Yep.
up against another doctor
Yeah.
to see if what I'm thinking is actually on point. Now, some things were confirmed, right?
Yep.
Some things about how the industry is in and of itself were absolutely confirmed, right?
Yes. And
But-
it's not structured to really solve health.
Yeah.
And I know we're gonna get into all of that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, hopefully we can get the audience to understand that all these doctors and the experiences that they're having, it's not like intentional. We all went to medical school and we want to help people.
Yeah.
Okay? We all go there. Everybody's like, altruistic and want to help people. But then once you get through the system, through residency and through the training, it becomes you're just solving sickness. You just solve sickness, and that's how the whole system makes money.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical drugs, hospitals, all of that. So it's really not about, and then it gets to a place where that's what people do. And like you said, some people get checked out. So there's all of this design in the system that doesn't bring the best in these people who go out there and want to help people, and it's quite sad. You have to
Yeah.
kind of wake up and kind of get away from it.
Yeah. So that'll take us to your history, because why are you different? If that's the case, I just rattle off. Y'all heard the resume. I rattle off the whole resume, all the certifications, all the boards, all the things that. So then, why are you different then? Why did you come out of medical? Well, start from scratch. Start from the beginning here, right? Take us all the way back.
All the way back.
All the way back.
All the way back to the motherland.
Yeah,
Ghana, Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the way back. How did you end up in Ghana? Decided I want to be a doctor.
Yep.
Go get your medical degrees. Like
Yeah.
not just one S, like multiple S's at the end.
Yes.
To being the doctor that you are now, in such a unique, you're a unique proposition almost, right? Like
Thank you.
How do you get to that point? Like, so let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah. So thanks for the opportunity. And so I was born and grew up in Ghana.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a very small village, a very tiny village, even no electricity growing up in the 80s or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And had just tons of love. My grandmother, my grandparents, my mom, my aunties. My mom was the oldest of 6. So all her siblings didn't have kids. I was the first grandchild. So I got a lot of love.
Yeah.
And very young age, I think maybe around 4 or even 3, I'm not exactly sure. I was very young. And I had a friend who died of malaria. So we have a lot of malaria in Africa, in Ghana. And he was my best friend. I think maybe I was 4. And then, so when he died, I was asking the question, why did he die? And I did not die. And they explained to me at that time that he had sickle cell, okay? So in Ghana and most of sub-Saharan Africa, we have a lot of sickle cell. I mean, a lot of people, black people carry sickle cell trait, and that's where it's coming from. So they explained to me that he has this sickle cell thing that killed him, and I did not die. And I was like, why? And they explained it to me. So there's a concept called heterozygote advantage, okay? I'm gonna explain what that means. So in Ghana, because we have a lot of sickle cell, people that develop sickle cell, which is SS, the gene, because we don't have good health infrastructure, a lot of those people will die, okay? And then you have the gene, if you have AA, which is the good gene, which is most people in America has, we don't want you to have S gene. If you have that, because you have the S, the AA gene, you actually are more prone to malaria attack. So those people can also get, so if you have that, you can really, because the malaria goes into your cell, and if one of them is sickled and one of them is not sickled, it cannot affect both, okay? So the people that have the sickle cell, they are protective against malaria, but because we don't have good health system, sickle cell create disease and those people die. So the environment selects for people who have the AS, who have one of the good gene, one of the bad gene. Because if you have that, then you can survive malaria and you're more likely to survive because you don't get sick with malaria as much. So I had one of those type of things. So it's called heterozygote. So the environment selects for individuals like myself who have this, one of the traits.
Okay.
So that's kind of how, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's where I became interested in, like, how do I learn about this and how do I take care of people? So from there, grew up interested in science, got a lot of love growing up, and then moved to the U.S. when I was done with high school. I had family here in the U.S., so I wanted to come and learn and go to, medical school. I wasn't even sure. I was interested in science. So I came to the U.S., went to university in Wisconsin. I had family there. And then at that point, I thought I wanted to be an organic chemist. I like chemistry and all of those things.
Really?
And I wasn't sure, even though I've had this inception in the back of my head that I want to be a doctor, I just wasn't sure if I was going to like people. So I actually went and got a job in a hospital, Columbia St. Mary's in Milwaukee. And my first couple of weeks, I did not like it. The smell of the hospitals.
Yeah.
So hospitals have smell.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, I'm used to it now, so I don't even tell. But initially, I could not tolerate it. I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
And I just did it for a while. But what kept me going was I was doing patient transport. So I'll transport patients to wherever they need to go. And they started talking to me. They would tell me all their stories about themselves. And then I recognized that these people are actually very anxious. They couldn't talk to the doctors. They're going for all these procedures.
Yeah.
Nobody have explained to them why they need it. And I can tell, like, there is some stress, and they're telling me their whole life story. And I was like, wow, this is such a privilege that these people with, a lot of them very accomplished and all of these things, but they are in this vulnerable state where they're communicating their fears and their anxiety, and I can sense it. So starting talking to them and kind of, at that time, I was like, I didn't know a whole lot, but I was like, oh, everything is going to be fine. Just kind of reassuring people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that really developing the whole relationship with how do I talk to people? How do I make people feel better? And I was like, okay, I think I really want to do this medicine thing because people need to be understood. People need to be heard. So in my mind at that time, I learned a few things. Even before I went to medical school, I got to make sure I can explain things to my patients. I got to make sure that I listen to them. I got to make sure they feel safe. I got to make sure they feel secure.
Yeah.
So from there, went through the process, went to medical school. It's a tough journey. I had 2 kids, had kids in medical school, so it was a really stressful time. But
you had no time.
Praise be to God, everything worked out. It always works out. So went through that, and while I was in medical school, I actually went to the field that I'm in, physical medicine and rehab, because my grandmother, who kind of raised me a little bit in Ghana, actually developed brain injury. So she fell in the village and developed these symptoms. So she was having some dizziness, some problems with her thinking, and some incontinence of the bladder. So at that time, I was doing a rotation in this area field, and I was like, oh, that sounds like brain injury. So I'm actually the one that diagnosed her where I was in medical school. Yeah. And I was like, it sounds like she's had brain injury. Let's take her in and get some imaging. So they did that and find out that she had brain injury. She had some bleeding in her head. And they went to the neurosurgeon. They did the removal of the blood, and they put in a shunt. But after that, she became disabled because there was no rehabilitation medicine in Ghana. So most of sub-Saharan Africa at that time, the only place that has physical medicine and rehab, which we have here in the U.S. and most of the Western world, is not available there. So people have all these traumas and they get life-saving clinical care, but then they become disabled because there's no rehabilitation to get them back.
Wow.
So that's when I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do, because I've always been interested in going back to contribute there. So actually through medical school, I started doing research in Ghana. I actually started a residency program. This is when I finished my stuff. I actually went to the Ghana. So we've trained doctors there who are doing this work. And then kind of jumping forward, went through residency at Hopkins, and it was a very stressful time. I had a second child. Very stressful time, but at that time you just do. This doctor personality. You just. I was just checking the boxes. I was winning awards. I was doing all of these things, but I was just miserable. I wasn't happy. So I got to Harvard, and this is when it kind of hit me. There's always this awareness that, or what I call like gate of awareness that happens in all of our lives as we go through life. So I got to Harvard, and at that time I was going through like a divorce, and it just hit me like, what am I doing? I've got all of this stuff, and I'm not happy, and I'm not there with my kids, and in this space. So I was going through a little bit of a crisis. And the question that I asked myself was, and of course Harvard really exposed me. I was doing an MPH, so they exposed me to all this other thinking and other ways of looking at yourself and questioning yourself. And I asked myself, what made me happy? I didn't even know what made me happy. I was like a 30-something-year-old dude and who've done all of these things, and on the outside, everybody think I'm doing great. But I couldn't even define that. What made me happy? And it just came to, and it's gonna be maybe interesting to you, because the thing that makes me happy, I was telling myself, when my kids are happy, then I'm happy. When when I'm getting good grades and everything, no, but it was all proxy. But what really makes me, Asare, happy was going to the gym.
What?
Being in the gym, man. Being in the gym, having some headphones on.
Interesting.
So people need to really, so I have to ask all these questions. So this is a time that I also kind of like started asking questions. And then I think part of that influence is to also my upbringing. So I got exposed. I grew up in faith. I grew up in church. I have multiple different uncles. They were all these things. I had somebody who was a Jehovah's Witness, somebody who was a Muslim, somebody who was a Pentecostal, and then my dad. And so I got exposed to all of these things. So I also understood faith and some of the principles that, be kind, be nice, all of these things that are really good outside of whatever your beliefs are. And that, at that time when I finished my fellowship, I was going through this crisis and just got connected again. And then it becomes, how can I do better for myself? And then I started working back in the grind of being a doctor that's getting paid for the first time, an attending doctor. So now you finish fellowship, now I'm in control. The environment is a little crazy. Started working, 30 patient, 20 patient, seeing a lot of patients. And then it started becoming very stressful because they push you.
It was overwhelming.
Overwhelming. They want you to see more patients, more patients. That's how we make money.
It's the machine.
It's the machine. So just a lot of people are miserable because you can't get anything. Insurance doesn't want to pay for stuff. Patients are not here. It's all designed to like, let's see more patients and let's get more money. Even if you're stressed, none of those things. So I got to a point where I was just stressful. And then every time I go home, I'm just miserable. I was like, what am I doing? So I have to, again, kind of another awareness came to, it's like, hey man, what is happening here? I want to help people. Yet every day I go to work, I'm miserable, I'm upset, all of those things. So that's when I started working on myself. So, like when you ask about, how you have to change your perspective. You have to do some growing for yourself. Medical school is going to teach you how to be a good doctor. It's not going to teach you how to be a good person. Okay? So that's something that you have to work on your own. So what change was like, you have, and then we all experience that. There's reasons why certain things happens in our life, and it's there to teach us a lesson. God brings it up to you to say, hey, walk through this. Why are we not there? Okay? And I'll tell you a story about a guy that I met in St. Thomas, and he gave me this book. And the title of the book is called Divine Intelligence Guiding Everyday Life. I don't know if I ever talked to you about it. Probably not. But anyway, the whole principle of the book is there was a lady who was very successful in New York City, doing all of these amazing things. And she was about to get married to this guy. And then the guy called off the wedding. She was very successful, and this was a crisis for her. So anyway, she went somewhere, east Thailand or whatever and started meditating. She's trying to find herself.
Yeah.
So she's been there for like, a couple years and meditating and doing all of these things. And then one day she's meditating, and then, God came and God was talking to her. And then God asked her, like, why are you here? And she's like, well, I'm here to find myself. And then God told her, it's like, you didn't have to come all the way here to come find yourself. The person that when you were getting out of your effort, and then God gave her all these instances in her life where God was trying to teach her compassion, how God was trying to teach her love, so all of these things. So there's this divine intelligence, which I actually believe that all of these things that we go through are there to kind of help us to open some awareness, and you have to walk through it and do the work. So anyway, coming back to my experience, I got to that point, I was like, I got to do something about my health. I'm a doctor, and I know about health, but I wasn't doing any of them because the people around me, they were all sick. I'm solving sickness. I'm giving them medications. I'm giving them injections. I'm doing all of these things that are not really translating to health. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we are in that environment, we don't even see. We compare. Your reference is that. So you don't even. You think a lot of doctors are not healthy because you're around sick people. So relative to a sick person, you're okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So from there, I was like, okay, I need to dial in the nutrition. I need to dial in the sleep. I have to cut out alcohol, all of these other lifestyle habits. So that's kind of where it started. And then eventually I also got to a point where I recognized that I wasn't really helping people.
Yeah.
I do the same injections over and over, medications. I know how all of these things work. They don't really work. People keep coming back. So I got to a place where I just started really educating people about pain because my background is in pain management. And how we do pain in America is not done right at all, okay?
No.
America makes up 4% of the world population. Do you know how much opioid do we use of the world? About 80%.
I was going to say, it has to be in the 80s, 90s.
We use 80% of the world opioids,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So it's about opioids, medications, surgeries, and all of those things. And people do all of those things and they're still in pain. Why? They're not sleeping.
Yep.
They're not exercising.
Yep.
They're eating junk. They're stressed. They have unforgiveness. There's all of these things that perpetuate pain. So I got to a place where I started educating patients. And then also through that, I knew that all the people that I sent to, whether physical therapy, a personal trainer, whatever, if those people were healthy, they have better outcomes. So the inception, which I knew for where I am now with Ether Medicine, the practice that I've been having now that we connected, was that I wanted to figure out how to use health as a way to solve pain.
Yep.
Because when people are healthy, all the interventions that we do get better. Even the surgery outcomes are better when you're healthy. So like medicines, there's place for all of them. But when people are not healthy, which we don't preach, the doctors need to, we give you a pill and then we say, go do whatever. And then people have all this side effect. If we're giving a pill and we're talking to them about nutrition, about stress, and they have better resilience, they're actually going to do better. There's a place for pharmacology. There's a place for all of the things that we do. So I started this practice, and the inception was, how do I use health as a way to solve pain?
Yeah.
The sad thing was that as somebody who's been a doctor for 8 years, right? I got trained well. I went to Hopkins. I went to Harvard. I did all of this stuff. I didn't know how to make people healthy. I just knew how to read MRIs. I just knew how to do injections. I know how to do medications. I know how to talk to people at some level. But to talk about nutrition, to talk about sleep, to talk about anything else beyond what the paradigm of medicine has given me in terms of this is the problem, this is the symptom, this is how you solve it. Just blocking the symptoms. There was not enough to understand, like, how do I fix the gut? How do I solve sleep? How do I solve the fundamentals?
Yeah.
Not things that I even knew how to do. So I have to kind of go. That's why there's the extra education. I was like, I got to figure this out because I did not like it. I was like, I want to help people. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, how come I just don't know much? I don't know much at all. All I knew is like read MRIs and do all of these things. And then, when you're looking for things comes to you. So I went to a peptide conference, and this was the first conference that I went to where I saw doctors that were actually fit and look good. It was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Right? Who are these people? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And I also went to this place, and these doctors were talking about cellular medicine and how the cell work and how to fix things. And I was like, I don't know any of these things.
Right.
It really bothered me. So I have to kind of really dig deep. And I really got to a place where, when I first even went to that conference, I couldn't really grasp any of the things they were talking about. But one of the things that have stuck with me, as the doctor was talking, his name is Dr. Seitz, really powerful guy. And he said, we have to focus on the intelligence of the cell, okay? Your body is made up of all of the cells, and the cells has all the intelligence to do the right things, to do the bio things based on the signal you give to the cell, okay? What is that signal? Exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress.
That's how everything
hormones,
adapts.
peptides,
Yep.
all of those things,
Yeah.
okay? So it's about figuring out how to give the body what it needs to do the work it needs to do.
Let me add on to that list a
Yes.
little bit. Thoughts,
Absolutely.
feelings, prayers.
Those are all signals.
All of them are signals, right? It's so funny, right? So we're gonna pause a little bit here because I want to go back. There is about 3 things I'm just like, okay, no, we gotta talk about that.
Okay.
So I suspect the reason why myself and many other people run into doctors who seem like they don't care
Yep.
is because they worked on their medical degree, but they didn't work on their character, right?
Yep.
That is such a big notion, and it's like, especially here on this podcast,
Yep.
we talk about the character is super important, right? It doesn't matter how much you know,
Yep.
because your character is the thing that actually sustains you, not your knowledge.
It's not the knowledge.
And
Absolutely.
I'm almost blown away. Like, I knew that's what you thought,
Yep.
but I'm kind of blown away at that, because it's just like, let me put it this way. I see why Megan said that we would really get along.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yep.
see it even more now. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, that's exactly.
You have to work on yourself.
You have to.
And there's
You
different
have to.
levels of intelligence, right?
Yep.
Doctors knows about medicine. A lot of doctors have just really horrible habits. They don't have emotional intelligence.
Yep.
They lack certain type of. So you have to develop yourself. If you really want to be a person who can be in a place to serve others, you have to work and be holistic.
Correct,
And that work
correct.
is not going to come. Medicine doesn't teach you that. It's not. It's not designed for that.
Right.
And then the other thing I also kind of want to put out there is like the system that people are in. Just the system, and I'll say this, and we'll go back to what you want to talk about. Is healthcare in America is designed based on how it's financed. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So that's what I think people need to understand. The healthcare is designed based on how it's financed. So when insurance pays for MRIs, doctors do a lot of MRIs.
Yep.
When insurance pays for surgeries, hospitals do a lot of surgeries.
Yep.
When insurance pays for medications, we do a lot of medications. Insurance doesn't pay for a trainer. Insurance doesn't pay for nutrition. Insurance doesn't pay for psychological health. Insurance doesn't pay for other education that actually makes you health, because it's not designed to be that. So people need to be aware of it. So we are getting the outcome of how the system is designed, and then everybody within it, the doctors or the providers, the patients, and all of that become victims of the system.
Yeah.
So it's very unfortunate, and to the very point, you just have to wake up. You have to have some awareness that step you aside, and even when you're in the system, how do you figure out to make a difference?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, and that's why you see a lot more people nowadays taking control of their health.
It's changing,
Because
which is a great
they
thing.
understood a system that once was perceived to be on their
Yes.
side
Yep.
and helping them, and actually helping them to that point of better health. And then they kind of found out, nah, that's not how it works.
No.
Right. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting. In real talk, I don't want to get, so there are no topics off limits on this
course,
pod.
yeah.
So you and I both know a big change to that was how the COVID vaccines were handled,
Yep.
right? A
Yep.
big shift in the
Yes.
perception was
Yes.
because of the COVID vaccines, right?
Yep.
So it's all of a sudden you're forcing these things, and you see all the studies coming out now, right? Like
Yep.
all of these studies coming out now about like children who have gotten this. Children. Now
Yep.
there's one quick way to drive me up a wall, messing with the kids. Don't mess with the kids.
Absolutely.
Don't mess with the
Absolutely.
kids.
Absolutely.
But the children who got these vaccines or vaccine shots comparatively to the children who did not, well, there are more markers of heart disease
Yep.
in the children who
things,
got
yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
it's just like, and that's just one thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, yikes.
Yeah. So and I see people, adults. I see a lot of adults, and where people getting exposure to vaccine-related injuries.
Yeah.
Influencing immune function, hormone function, pain, all of these other dysregulations that happen. So, and you're right. That was a shift for people to say, you know what, we can't just sit here and expect the system to take care of us, because the system is only able to handle sickness. Okay.
Yeah.
And even part of that, like going a little bit further into the whole vaccine experience here. One, it was rushed because people, and then the second part of it, the reason why the whole system got shut down, because hospitals basically said we can't handle people getting too sick and overflow in the hospital. So we have to shut down communities.
Yeah.
Because of hospitals can't handle it. Because what do? They just only focus on sickness. And it was something that they're not exposed to. And then the other thing that is also important to recognize that even in America, as advanced as our systems are, we actually had a worse outcomes from vaccines than other places. Why? Baseline, we are not healthy. We have immune dysregulation. The food that they're giving us, none of the food we have is good. The environment, it doesn't build our immune system. We're not structured to really take care of our health. So when you bring something like that, that is not even well studied and being rushed in the context of everybody's trying to do the right thing, but there's other people who like, hey, this is an opportunity to make a lot of money.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, I'm not responsible for anything. I'm just going to push this out because you need it, but you got to take me out. If anything comes wrong, you can't come back and sue me. That was the arrangement, right? So, but it's also the other systems that are there, because even before then, food industries and pharma and all of these things, they all work together. We know the food create illness. We know the food create all of these problems. Nobody's doing anything about that. So there's a lot of things that people are not waking up to and really trying to find solutions, trying to be proactive. Let me take care of myself, because the system is not designed to take care of me.
Absolutely.
And it's a good thing that we are in this place now and people are really understanding the need to focus on health.
Right. And it makes your position very unique, right? And I say that in a sense that like you're, I would kind of consider you the black sheep of the group now, right? Because
and actually there's tons of black sheeps out there. I mean, it's just like I didn't even know that there was all these doctors out there who are really focusing on solving health, because that's what I learned from this. So there's a lot of doctors out there in the integrative functional medicine space who knows how to really solve health, except they don't, it's not out there because it's not something that pharma is pushing. It's not something that insurance pay for.
That's what I was going to say. They're not accessible, though.
They're not accessible. That's the limitation for sure.
And that's the hard part for, especially like I hear from a lot of clients, a lot of people like, and I experience myself, right? Go through same thing. It's just like, I'm sure there's plenty of them out there, and I'm sure they're outstanding people. Can't get to them though.
You can, and I, in fact, I mean, that's something I struggle with, because my practice, as you know, I was taking insurance. Till like a few months ago, right? And the problem is that, like I said, insurance, I spend an hour with a patient, because it's not going to be 15 minutes. The traditional doctor's office, you go in and it's 15 minutes. They don't have time. It's not like they don't care. They just don't have the time. They only have 30 minutes to see you and document so they can bill insurance. So they don't have time. So I'm spending an hour with a patient. Insurance pays me $150, or they will say $90, or they will say, you know what, I'm not going to pay you, and I have no say in it. They're going to determine when I get paid. So there's all of these things in the background that as a private doctor, if you step out and you're trying to help people, it just doesn't work. It's just like, you got to survive. You got to pay for your bills. I'm a doctor and I get paid $120 an hour. Even the guy who's coming to clean my house charged me $200 an hour, whatever it is, right? So it really is unfortunate that we're in a place where those people who are really solving the health, they have to kind of figure out a way, and then sometimes it becomes very inaccessible. So one of the things that it's on my heart that I want to do is I want to be able to get to a place where these things can be, now we have technologies, we can do this a little bit cheaper, okay? And get to a place, and it's all about the fundamentals, the very things that we talk about. How do we get people to be precise on sleep? How do we get people to be precise on exercise? The nutrition, and the environment. The environment is so toxic that it makes it so hard, even when people are trying to do the right things to stay healthy. It's not designed for health. So really, yes, that's a good point. It's not accessible, it's not cheap, but one way to kind of get people to also understand is that there is two ways to pay for healthcare. Whether you can pay it by force, or you can pay it by choice. Okay? So you definitely want to think about how you invest in your health in a way that you have the choice. Because when it comes to the point where you're being forced to pay for it, it's too late. Okay? You have a heart attack, something happened, and then you're in a hospital. If you can be proactive, see a trainer, dial in the nutrition, see a doctor who actually understands those things. You're going to have to pay for it. Because your regular doctor is not going to give you that. Their system is not designed to get you that result. So there's a lot of things in there, but I think people need to start, and even now people are aware of it. And then some of these things that actually makes a difference are free. Right? Walk a little bit after you eat. Make sure you sleep. Make sure you back away from alcohol. Don't smoke. Don't do all of these things. And, you're like 80%, 90% there. And it's also finding the doctors and the people like yourself who can provide the guidance. Because the environment is so confusing, and we are also in an era of a lot of information.
Yeah.
And how do you get the right information to help you? So you also need the guidance. For
Yeah.
sure.
And you know what? And honestly, that's the tough part for me. The tough part for me because, I believe I have the right idea. And I want to maximize how many people I can help with that idea. But there's two problems that I've run into without fail. The first one is I can only do but so much.
Yep.
Right. I can only reach but so many people. And right. So that's part of the reason why I started the podcast. That's part of the reason why I'm talking to people like yourself. Right. Because it's just like these ideas, if I can keep getting them out, then they can get them out even more.
Absolutely.
Right. And it also, as an aside, helps me kind of work the truth out of those ideas themselves, right? To make sure that they're true. Like I'm and I'm gonna keep going back to this, right? Because this is like a core to who I am.
Yes.
I will always butt truth up against something.
Yes.
You got to knock it around. You got to throw it around a little bit to make sure that it's still solid.
Because all truth are partial truth.
Yeah, exactly. Truth is what truth is.
Yep.
If you have any bit of falsehoods in it, it'll get shaken out.
Yep.
Right. But you got to shake it up first,
Yep.
which means you got to butt it up against stuff.
Yep.
Right. With all that being said, the second problem I always run into, and this is the one where it's just it hurts a little bit, is you can offer the help to everyone.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that they're going to do it.
Yes.
And that's the struggle that I have. It's just I could tell you, yo, you got to exercise.
Yep.
Yo, take the walk.
Yep.
It's just a 15-minute walk, right? But it does not always work out that way. There's certain things they know what to do, and they still will refuse to do it.
And I think that's, it's a complex issue. And actually, that's something I'm very much interested in.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the people who deal with sick people, you would think doctors see so many sick people that they should not be smoking, but they do all of those things. Doctors are not healthy.
Yeah.
Doctors are in a system in learning about health, they're not healthy. So it takes more. And I think part of it is, one, the invisible hand. It's all habits, right? So I have this saying that I say is, your health is a lagging indicator of your habits. The choices you make, the choices you don't make, all of that will translate to your health. And it's also the environment. So the environment is an invisible hand of behavior change. There is, we have limitation in terms of our capacity, and this is behavior economics, to make rational decisions. So human beings are predictably irrational, right? We all know that exercise is healthy.
Yep.
Why don't we do it?
Yeah.
Right? So there's all of these things that in the environment that do that, but there is also a point where we have to make that choice.
Yeah.
There is a choice piece to it, okay? So you have to get to a point where you have to make that choice. And it's also really learning about how do we get people to understand habit change. There's science to changing habit. If you want to change a habit, if you want to start a new habit, you stack it on something that you do, okay?
Yeah.
So if people are out there and you already drink your coffee in the morning, this is an example, and you want to start a prayer or meditation or an exercise thing, you go, okay, after my coffee, I'm going to do 2 squats, 3 squats, whatever it is. So really giving people some framework to help them, but ultimately it comes to choice. Yep. And sometimes people are not in the most healthiest space, because for me, my lens is, it's easy to hack your biology than to hack your psychology. So when sometimes people don't even have if you're eating junk food, you're not going to make good decisions.
Right.
If you're not sleeping well, your decision to do some of this and that health. So there's all of these things that need to be optimized to even get people to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And the environment is not designed for that. We sit a lot. Everything that we eat is very tasty. It's full of sugar. It's full of inflammatory things.
Yep.
And it doesn't really help people to push that way. So
definitely
that is something that I am very interested in, like you're saying, how do we get people to change habit, do the right things? And that's hard. But ultimately, people have to make that choice.
Yeah. And so I've been working this for a long time.
Yes.
A long time.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yep.
So, I think you know enough about me to know that I like to experiment, and I like to research and experiment and take notes.
Critical questions.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Test the system. You got to test it.
Yeah. Constantly. Right.
Yep.
So what I found was, and this is very interesting, and this is actually the basis of like the SCAL method, my style of training. You're absolutely correct. It comes down to habits. It comes down to the choice they make. But what does that come down to? Now we're going to peel that onion back a little bit more, right? Well, it comes down to your thinking, right? Yeah. The environment can absolutely affect what happens, but ultimately you even have to make a choice on your environment.
You do.
You have to choose whether, is this going to affect me as much, or is it going to help support me, right? Depends on what it is, right? So certain things in your environment, like, you know, like air quality, water quality, things like that.
People around you, your friends.
Exactly, right? Like that's all included, right? You have some wiggle room there. And it all comes down to your thinking. But then what does your thinking come down to?
Your thoughts.
So those thoughts and are all of our thoughts our own? You see what I'm saying?
Where is it coming from?
I go all the way back to that original
having
point.
a connection to something that give you some guidance is really, really important. That's going deep.
And having that not even just the understanding, but having I almost see it like as a net, and you're a fisherman, and you're trying to capture, and each fish is a thought, right? You have your net open. Some people don't have their nets open that they think they do. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You know, and you run into people who are just like, oh yeah, no, I got this. So not everybody's as receptive to underding.
Or growth.
Period. Or growth. Especially growth in and of itself, right? So but I take that and I say, come on into the studio. Right? Because that's exactly where, honestly, for my coaching style and for what I do, that's where you get the most. Right? I even turned just some regular, like, look, we were doing bicep curls. I jumped in with you because you ain't gonna get a pump without. I was just like, oh, let me go get a pump. But constantly, whenever I'm moving, I'm thinking that next level down, next level down. There's never a move that I make where I'm not thinking that next level down, next level down. Right? It's just like, because that eventually becomes who you are. That's the thing. Your habits become who you are.
And it starts with the thoughts. Thoughts stays there, becomes habit, and that's your identity.
Yep. So that's why it's so important to build that good character.
Absolutely.
Because then with good character, the decisions you make will be good. Right? It will be conducive towards either supporting others and or supporting yourself. And bringing it up so that everybody, like, that's the thing, everybody should win. Everybody should be winning right now. Not everybody's winning. Now, granted, I'm saying this kind of in a vacuum because there are bad actors.
Of course.
Let's put it that way. There are bad actors.
There are, absolutely.
But there's no way the bad actors can destroy everything if all the people who are doing good are on one accord.
Absolutely.
And so I say that, and I know it sounds a little cryptic, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Because if you apply that idea to health, we win.
Absolutely.
It's the solve. But you know.
And I think it's also, you know, because there is, you know, for me as a doctor, to the very point, you know, like you said, we're being cryptic, but there is, you know, different people who come to me and have different level of awareness. And when people can open up to accepting that, you know, there is more to what they can actually do than what I can do for them. And be open to those ideas and finding those connections. They actually can heal. Okay? Because me as a doctor, let's just say, you know, I'm looking things through an objective lens of, okay, this is a cell and it does this and it has a mitochondria. Okay. And then we go a little bit deeper into the mitochondria. What's there? We get into some atoms. We go a little bit deeper. We get into some quarks, and we get into some, and then you get a little bit deeper. And you get into emptiness. You get into spirit. Okay? So the root of this is get into the source. And I think sometimes we're not open to that, but actually even now we're getting into quantum biology where we just kind of like, so, you know, you have to go a little bit deeper. And I think when people have those type of ideas where they can connect to their creator and have faith in certain ways, things do change. So I think that's really, really also important. And then people just need help because sometimes people have all of that, but they don't have the knowledge. That's why having people like you, myself, and others who have expertise in helping, because sometimes all it takes is just one thing. I came to you, and I've been going to the gym for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been going to the gym for a long time. I actually told you that I enjoy going to the gym. That's the one thing I'm happy about.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to lift weights. You have to show me how to do certain things. I was like, what? You got me here the other day, and I was like, this is what we're going to do? And I couldn't even walk.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I remember it was the isometrics.
Yeah, isometrics. I was like, okay, what is that?
Yeah.
So it's really getting to the place of having those things that, move the dial for people. I think people need help in so many other ways to really get them to this journey of health.
For sure. And that's what, and it's funny. I made a joke to my wife a few days ago. I was just like, so I'm gonna have Dr. C on the pod. And she was just like, no, I saw it in the calendar and all that fun stuff. I was like, you know what? He's like the Dr. Me. Because it's just like you understand the macro level picture here. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. You don't get so you're not locked in on sickness and this particular medication. Yeah. You get the big picture.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna go back. There's a story. After those initial meetings, right? I was sitting there. Yep. We went out. It was at P.F. Chang's.
Yes, we went to grab
P.F. Chang's.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, all right, cool. So we're sitting there talking, and you said something. And from that day, I knew, I was like, I got to get him on a pod. There's this one thing you said that just changed a lot for me, and you didn't even know it.
I'm not sure.
You had no idea.
Yes.
And you were just like, we started talking about just in general, like I was telling you about like how I train, and I was just really introducing you to it, where it's just like, hey, look, it's more about the thinking, but it's also like how they feel emotionally actually counts for a lot as well. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And I was like, and listen, I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't believe there's any physical realm movement without something spiritual behind it. Yep. And so, I'm a believer. I'm a Christian through and through. That's, 10 toes down. That's how I am. Right? Absolutely. And you were just like, like you was like, respect. All right, cool. And he was like, and then you started going into the connection between pain and the emotions. Yep. And I was just like, now real talk, it takes a lot to have me like, kind of like, not like dumbfounded, but like, I haven't had, that was my like light bulb moment. I was just like, oh yeah. So I'm going to ask you real quick, just to kind of go, that connection, because it's a deep connection, and it expands in other pathways. Yep. But that connection between pain and your emotions, where it's like, it's almost like your body records it.
Absolutely.
Through the pain, or through, so emotion is attached to the pain. Yep. You want to explain it? I'm going to let you do it. Go ahead, because I'm going to jack it up.
No. So that's one of the concepts that I try to teach people who has pain, because people have pain. And they don't understand pain, or two, they don't want to be open to the real meaning of pain. Yeah. Okay, pain has multiple meanings. Okay, it's not just what's happening in your biology. Yeah, there's always a reason why we have pain, and you have to pay attention to it. So actually, how pain is processed is your pain. Pain is a signal that goes to your brain, and it goes to a place where there's emotion, where your brain also processes emotion, processes thoughts. So it's all connected. So pain is connected to your thoughts and your emotions. And this is something that individuals have pain can validate for themselves. How do you feel about your pain when you're sad? Pain goes up. When you have pain, it can actually make you sad. When you're thinking that, oh my God, this is not going to get better, the pain is horrible, catastrophizing, everything gets worse. So there's this huge connection to all of those things. And if you can change one of those dials, the pain is constant, it's just going to be there. But if you can change the emotion, if you can change the thoughts, the pain is going to be there, and it's just going to be a signal. Okay, and really dialing into the thoughts and the emotion, and that's where a little bit deeper. So when people are open to that, then we go a little bit deeper. If people have had trauma in their life, all of that influence how they experience pain. Right. So there is a lot more to pain than just what's on your MRI, just what's on your labs, and that's what people are used to. They go to the doctors and go, oh well, look at your MRI, you have all these things here, and people get surgeries, they're still in pain. Why? There's unforgiveness. That will influence how your brain is processing pain. There's people who've like, I have individuals that I talk to, and I've talked to them about this, where they have a relationship with the brother, and it's gone bad, and I'm close to them enough that I was like, hey, you got to work on that unforgiveness. When you do that, pain gets better. Your nervous system is always hyperactive. And when you can let things go, the healing takes place. Yeah. So there's a lot more that, people have so much power. And I think that's something that I really wish that I can connect to my patients. Yeah. But it's a function of not losing people, because I'm here and I don't want to be prescriptive. Yeah. I know sometimes people come to me and I know what their problem is. They're not ready to be open to that point. Yeah. If they're not ready to accept it, I can't push it, because when you push it, it doesn't go anywhere.
It breaks.
Okay?
Yep.
So definitely emotions, super important in modulating how we process pain, and it even goes beyond that. We can get into that, but there's a lot more to all of those things.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So it's funny because when we had that conversation, then that's when I started doing my research, right? Yeah. And that's when, and it's so funny. So the episodes of the podcast that I just came out with, basically, I'm going over what I call your 10 senses, right? Yep. And so the sense that we're talking about now is interoception. And that's the one where, and right? And I was just like, oh, snap. And it goes right back to that, where it's just like, it made me think back throughout my entire training career, throughout my entire coaching career. And it's just like, these are ideas that I always touched, right? Yep. And then I finally was able to kind of get, that's what it is. And I mean, for me, it's just like, whew, kablooey, right? Because now it changes how I train. Yeah. It allows me to even further maximize my coaching ability. Yep. And you're just like, wait, you're talking about pain, emotion. How do you do that, right?
Exactly.
And look, because it originally started off from that conversation, I go over all the 10, sight, touch, taste, smell, hearing, whatever, right? All that fun stuff. You get your base 5. Yep. Cool. That's how you interact with your environment. That's how you understand, interpret your environment, right? But you have proprioception. You have the vestibular sense, and then interoception. Yep. Now, this was kind of like a rumor, word on the street. That's what they called your hidden senses. Yeah. I was like, I actually can get with that, because it's not like you're experiencing with the environment. You're interacting with yourself. Exactly. Yes. So I was just like, okay, cool. Now I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a curveball, right? Because there's 2 more senses on top of that. But and this is what I'm proposing. I'm not saying this is an official study or anything like that, right? But
this is a coach experience.
Exactly, right. So I'll just break it down for you and just see what you think, right? And then so you have those 3, but I started this deep dive on interoception, and I was just like, oh, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. Originally, I was all in proprioception because physical. We're training, right? You know what I mean? You need to know where your limbs are, so you can live proper form, right? But man, and then it opened up this whole different world. But then, because there's just things going on, experiences, and I'm arrived at this conclusion that you have 2 spiritual senses as well, right? So you have your base 5. That's how you physically interact with your environment, right? Then you have your 3 that are hidden. That's how you interact, and that's how you understand what's going on in the inside. Yep. But then how do you understand what's going on with your soul? Yeah. And so that's what you have faith and wisdom as senses. That's what those are for. And I break that down, and I mean, I'm not going to regurgitate the whole thing, but
I get it. I totally get the whole faith and wisdom thing, because it's actually one, in a simplistic version. It's not the same idea, but it's how we grow is you can either grow through pain or you can grow through wisdom. And faith. Okay. So some people will keep hitting their head over. They will do the same thing over and over and over and over. Or you can kind of be in a place where you go, okay, I've seen certain things here, and you have this wisdom to say, this is how I grow. And actually I kind of put myself in that category of, some people, there's different types of people where they would just make the same mistake. You see them just struggling. Eventually they figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's also people who just kind of like somehow just know how to get to where they're going. So definitely I get those senses, and that's very interesting. I've never thought of it this way, but that's powerful to be able to kind of have it as another level, because that's another level that you have to let go of everything. You have to let go of your thinking. You have to let go of everything to kind of have those things set in.
You have
those
to
things
be
are
humble.
always operating.
You have to be humble.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? That's the longest part of the process for me personally, where it's just like you have to be humble and patient. And I suck with patience. Like straight up, I'm not good.
And then
with
you also like you like fact. You're scientific in your thinking. You have to things have to connect and all of those things. So makes sense.
That was a little bit of the struggle, but there's a couple things, and we'll have to take this offline one of these days, because it's like there's a lot of different ideas that I've I get a little hesitant calling it direct wisdom, right? Because it's just like, and it might be other people do, and I just keep it simple, right? Because the moment I think, oh, this is wisdom, then I start to get a little ahead of myself. So I want to keep it real simple for me. I was like, no, this is what I think. This and I keep it going from there. But it's just like there's this the way I said it, in the way I believe it's set up, there's this divine record. It's a divine data cache. That's what wisdom tags. Right?
Like that.
Because you can't get it anywhere else. Now, what people typically call wisdom, they call it like through physical, personal experience, maybe somebody's learned experience. And don't get me wrong, that's valuable.
Absolutely.
But that's physical intuition. Right? And that's where I'm just like, there's a difference between physical intuition and wisdom.
And I like, what you're talking about. And my way of kind of like this thing that you're talking about, how I look at it is like this universal mind. That we get tapped into. So it's this, these things that are coming and in fact, when you look at people who have invented things and all of these things, a lot of their history, the Einsteins of the world, they got tapped into this universal mind, or God, whatever you want to, so that there is this other side that when you remove all of your things that you think there is a source that's like, pushing this
sauce.
There is a source where, where all of that is coming from, because it's not, we're really limited in terms of, what we can think and what we can do.
Now think about that for a second, right? Why do you think there aren't as many people doing it now, right? Think about, like, you have the Einsteins, you have the musical geniuses of like Mozart's and Beethoven's, right? Who do we have now?
Elon Musk.
well,
he's a genius. He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of that, but
we don't actually. Why do you think that is?
So I think back then they really understood. They had limit. I don't know. I mean, this is just my explanation of it.
Sure.
Because back then, they really had a connection to this source. Okay, they didn't have all these distractions and other things. And people did have real experiences where they know, like, I'm very limited. There's something else bigger than myself that's out there. And if I can connect to that, some wisdom and other things that come like out of nowhere. And that was how all of these people, and they all kind of knew that. They were all like spiritually connected, and people of faith. Even though they were scientists, back then you couldn't combine, when that whole, European Enlightenment was taking place. They couldn't kind of mess it together, right? But when you look at the life of all of those people, they were people who actually were just connected to some source. Beyond just like what they were writing in physics books and all of these things that they do. So, I'm not sure why we don't see a whole lot of it. I mean, there's some of it that's happening in different levels, and our advancements and everything else, and knowledge is so spread out all over the place that it's.
But you beating around the bush, though. You know what I'm going to say.
Well, say it. Tell me what you think is going on.
There's not as many. So let's just follow that pathway. Let's follow that line real quick, right? So it was almost common knowledge that there was somebody greater than them. There was somebody out there that orchestrated all of this, right? It was common knowledge. You didn't have to question it. There's more people questioning it now. Right? There's more people questioning it. There's more people denying it. There's more. So we're becoming.
And people are not even aware.
Yeah, it's just like
they're just kind of like, oh, everything is what it is.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Because they have food, they have everything.
Yep.
Back then, you got to go chase your food.
Yeah,
and then you
actually
didn't
have
make
to
it.
do something. Right. So it's just like it's a generational thing for sure. But and I don't want to make it sound like it's doom and gloom, but we're a lot less faithful or a lot more faithless now than and this is my opinion, right?
Yep.
Like than what we were then, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's as common knowledge, right?
It is not. Yep.
And
And I also think part of it is also just like the reason why a lot of this stuff, a lot of things in my view is not happening. We're advancing, but there's so much trauma, there's so much stress, there's so much negativity and all of these things. And it's just because people have lost identity. It's identity crisis. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
Yep.
And people just free falling. People are trying to define new identities. It's already hard to be whatever you are if you're not connected to yourself.
Yeah.
So trying to create a new identity, trying to find all of these things, it doesn't lead to any happiness.
Right.
People are just like free falling and trying to kind of. So it's more instead of like growing and developing and getting to a place where we're actually getting better in terms of our consciousness to be able to connect in a way that example like Christ consciousness going up. We are kind of regressing. We are having this regressive developmental stages where, it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot more in there, but I know, that's something that we can even dig a little bit deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Different
Oh, yeah, for sure.
talk.
There'll be time. There'll be time.
Yes.
It's one of those things where it's like, because we still got to go out.
We do.
We still, our schedule has been kind of crazy. But, so this, let's go this route because I think we're about like halfway through. Let's take a quick break and we'll jump back into it because it's around time to talk about some peptides.
All right. I'm game. Let's
right.
do this.
All right.
All right.